What's up, guys? Really good to see you in June. Thanks for sticking around, and thanks again for the stream last month. It was really fantastic, honestly. I've been thinking about it this past week, and it's been such a fun time. And yeah, back in June, I thought to start off the month with some analysis again and some description of Moonlight Sonata, which I think is probably one of the most requested analysis pieces, and yeah, it's a really interesting track from a arranging standpoint, because harmonically it's not super difficult. There's nothing too crazy, but technically, of course, it's super challenging, and also it's really dynamic. The range of the piano in the original is very big, and that was very fun, a lot of fun to actually try to put it in the guitar. First thing that might be interesting to you is that I didn't start arranging this from the intro, from the beginning. Because when I decided that I wanted to do it, which was, let's say, like really early 2020 or very late 2019, I wanted to first of all see if I actually could arrange it nicely. Obviously, you can arrange anything. But not everything is gonna be super cool when you do it, depending on the track. So I wanted to see first if it was actually feasibly possible for me to make a super cool arrangement out of it. So the first thing that I did wasn't the intro, but it was this section. Bit out of tune. Because this section, when I was listening to the track, seemed like one of the more difficult parts, which it isn't the most difficult after I made the arrangement, but that's what it seemed like to me. So I wanted to start off with the super difficult part and see what comes out of it. The tuning to this track is B, E, B, E, B, E, which is the best tuning, obviously, B, B, B. The reason for that is basically my approach was this: the arpeggios that are happening all the time throughout the song, the track, are very basic arpeggios. So as I said on the stream, it's 3 notes, right? It's just the chords. So the first arpeggio is an E minor arpeggio, which is that just E, G, B. These are the notes. So if you repeat the same 3 notes in all of the octaves around the fretboard, you want them to be in similar places, right? Because it's pretty easy to transition your hand to different positions and play them in. So you can see, like here for instance, when I come here, I have this whole arpeggio, right? This whole arpeggio in one position. It's all accessible. So I knew I wanted octaves a lot, because octaves are going to help me in making these arpeggios. So I started from C, E, B, E, B, E. So the Hush tuning, Phoenix Rising is also in that tuning. But I immediately reached problems, because later you play B a lot, like you need the dominant chord a lot, right? Because it creates this, and especially later in the track, when I sort of skimmed through the sheet music, this whole section is in B major. It changes keys, so it's in B now. And because I saw that the key changes, I knew I had to. I could have left the C there, but then I wouldn't have nice low bass. So I lowered the C, which by the way gave me another octave, which was very helpful. And that's how I came to B, E, B, E, B, E, the funny tuning. Sorry for my hair, I didn't put anything on it today. But yeah, so this is how I got the tuning. And then maybe I'll play it slowly for it now, the whole section, then I'll talk about it. workout, you know. Sorry. Yeah, so that's what it is. One thing when it comes to practicing this, and I cannot stress this enough, I don't think I mentioned this already, but this is, maybe I have, but this is like a really important thing, which not many people talk about, is that when you practice a section and you sort of repeat it over and over to get the technique right, like here, if you want to play this track, you're going to repeat this, you know, hundreds of times to actually get it right. And so when you're doing that, in this case especially, you shouldn't play just this section. Done again. That's the worst thing you can do. Then you go to, that's terrible. Why? Because you are not practicing the transitions. The hardest part in this sort of arpeggio idea here is that you end up very high on the fretboard, because obviously you are going higher and higher. You end up basically the highest place you can be, right up here. And then you need to start over again. What is this happening here? You need to start over again, right? So you need to go back from this super high position back here to, you know, the bottom of the fretboard, or the top of the fretboard, whatever, here, back to this position. And this movement needs to be very quick, because you obviously are playing pretty fast, so you don't have time to, you don't want to do this. That's not, the pauses are terrible because you are losing the flow of the track. So the way to practice this, and any other sort of thing where you actually need to jump from one place to another, is do this. And repeat. You don't have to play this whole next arpeggio, because then you run in the same problem again, because you finish here, there's the next one. Just transition, play a couple of notes clearly and well, and then repeat, right? Done, again. And that's what I did. That's what I did for like a month straight. When I arranged this, I had to learn it, and it took me a while, honestly, to play it really well. And then obviously in the studio, I had to be on it. But yeah, so this is like a very important tip, honestly. Recommend it fully. So yeah, and in terms of the actual arrangement here, it's nothing crazy. I'm not gonna go into too much detail, because it is literally 3 notes over and over. Maybe not like in succession, because I start with E, B, right? Not E, G, B. But it is the same thing as in the sheet music. There's nothing changed, I don't think. Right? I use here there's this nice half bar chord, right? So there's 3 notes that I play here, because playing this, I don't need to play the bar here, but if I just play this one note here, first of all, before I'm doing this, so there's no point in changing this position, but also this placement of your finger isn't comfortable at all. This is not comfortable either, but this one is terrible, because you can see that it's a very big curve here. You know, it's not a very comfortable place to be, so putting just a bar here, even though I don't need it, makes it a lot easier. But still, before I had to play this, so it's very efficient. Another half bar here, like a flamenco sort of thing, playing these 3 strings, 5, 4, and 3. The bar chord is here, right? Then I do this, and then I leave open the B string, because I need it for a nice open sound, right? So I don't do this, so I'm blocking this string, I don't want to block it. I want to leave it open, right? A very minor thing which you would never notice if you are watching me play or hearing me play. But there's so many of these half bar chords. You can see the way I'm doing this is basically this joint in my finger bends, right? So the normal barre would be like this, but this time I bent it in the joint. It's a flamenco technique. I talked about it before, I think. So yeah. And here, sorry. Yeah. These slides that I'm doing here, they are sort of like cheating, right? Like this is what I do sometimes. You know already that I cheat in some sections of the arrangements because I didn't find a way to play it perfectly like in the sheet music. And here probably should be this. No. This is what I think. Yeah. These are the notes that I should be playing, but I didn't find a nice way to go from this to, because then I'm landing on a very weird position. I can't do this, doesn't make sense. So the way I solve it is by cheating, essentially. I just sort of slide and you don't hear the notes because this note isn't nice. It's not a part of the chord, but you just sort of slide off of it and you reach a very nice consonant note here, so it feels like I actually played a nice arpeggio. Because you skip this note essentially, you get this one here, and then you get the other one with your bar. But I didn't play one note and nobody notices because it's a slide, right? And here, what should happen is I should have this nice full chord, but I lack frets on my guitar to do that. And in fact, I was thinking if maybe there were more frets I could do it, but I found out it's a terrible idea to put way more frets on an acoustic guitar. I'm always very surprised when people force it, like they do it. There are some guitars with them, because it sounds terrible, like it sounds so bright, and yeah, don't do it. But whatever, I digress. So I should play this nice chord here, somewhere like here, with a nice open E. It works out really well, but there's no frets. So what I did, sort of cheated again, and I don't really play the chord. The chord would be something like probably like an E major chord, I imagine. But I don't play an E major chord, I just do this. Right? So this thing isn't even in the right octave. It should be higher, it should be here. This is the highest note. This one of the chord. So I wanted to hit it, but to go from this note to this it's a terrible idea. Yeah? You're never gonna do it well consistently. So this sounds super similar to this. So I do. If I play it slowly, maybe it doesn't sound fantastic, right? But if you play it in context, right, you come out of, you know. It makes sense, right? And yeah, and so I should play an E major chord, which would be, let's say this, right? An octave higher, right? But I don't have time to play this G sharp here, so I just play this open harmonics, and nobody cares, right? Like, because it sounds well, it sounds good, right? It's the same idea, it's the same concept. Like what Beethoven wanted to put forward with this idea is that it's the next, you know, succession of arpeggiated notes and then the final big chord. And the chord doesn't necessarily have to be exactly what he wrote in the sheet music. It just has to sound similar, which I did with the harmonics, right? So again, I cheat twice in this arpeggio. Here, and then, sorry. Yeah, so here, you can see it's a nice stretch. And then when I play this tapping note, I strum the open E string twice with my A finger, my ring finger. I talked about it like multiple times in the past, so I won't dwell on it too long, but it's a nice legato feeling. As always, I want it to be nice legato, smooth line, like on the piano you have these smooth lines with your fingers. Same thing I want to do on the guitar. So you just hold this nice chord and then still holding everything, right? Like, who would have thought of that? Like, you have 4 notes in completely different places on the fretboard, like the first position, the 5th fret, 13th fret, and an open string, all in one legato setting. Yeah. So this is the first part. Fine, I guess. This is the first part. Actually, maybe I should go back to the intro. So, just play it for you. Here, basically, you could, because I need to change the bass, right? From this to this. So I could do something like this. This is probably what somebody who wasn't too great at arranging would do. You know, playing this, then that sounds like a bleep. I don't want to say here, but it sounds awful, right? Like you. This honestly, when I see arrangements like this, because I do watch some arrangements on YouTube, and I see somebody doing stuff like that, I honestly, my blood is boiling, because it's like so uncreative. I'm sorry, I just got angry for some reason, but because you are keeping this line here, this beautiful line, how can you change it to anything else? It should go on as long as you can, right? So you wouldn't do this. You would be creative, right? So do the bass here, because I'm not gonna stretch my finger like this, because it's terrible. Right? Now it's different. Open strings, right? I don't block anything in this here. You are blocking this E string. You're blocking it, so you're not getting the full legato. Like, how can you not play the beautiful slow intro legato? But here, everything is ringing, right? Everything. The 3 notes, 4 notes with the bass, right? So it's a good choice, and you can't do anything else because you wouldn't do this. Right, I mean, it doesn't make too much sense. You could, I guess, but yeah. Again, legato, this always rings out, this 3rd string. Really out of tune, sorry. 13th fret tap, everything is ringing out, right? All of the notes. I don't play the 4th string yet, so the 5th string, go back a bit. Everything ringing out, right? Still holding it, strumming like before, and slide, so it's all legato, I mean, as much as possible humanly. Here I could play just with my fingers, but I wanted it to be a bit cooler, you know. Why not be cooler if you can? Right? How does it go? Sorry. Some nice pull-off stopping, just looks nicer, and also I guess there's a bit more legato because there's no like finger, muting here, but it's really for the cool points, you know. And again here, not again, but here I have this, again E minor chord. Before I played it like, I could play like this, right? And it's more natural because you have the lowest note on the bottom, then the higher note here. But this way you don't get a lasting bass, because this is a held note, right? So it's not a lasting thing. So I play like this, and this way I have an open E string. I play the higher note on the lower string, but I have the main string ringing out all the time. The tonic is ringing out. So obviously I choose this option over this one because I want it to be a lasting bass, not just a... Now it's gone, right? But here, still ring out, still. Let's play again. All of these choices here, I play this note here, then I play it here, are because I want it to be legato. I won't talk too much about that. All of it is like cool points. Half bar again, you can see. Yeah, and then we go back to this. I'm thinking, because I don't want to make a super long video, but I can talk about one more part. So I finish the arpeggio section. Oh, this is just a nice sort of like because I could just play right and just continue. But if you notice, this arrangement probably has the least percussion out of any of my arrangements, and obviously there are parts where there's quite a lot of percussion, but that's only because I sort of wanted there to be, like, I sort of forced the percussion in there because I didn't want to make an arrangement which was top to bottom just standard acoustic playing, even though it's not standard. Obviously there's a lot of super weird techniques, but to a layman, like to an audience member who doesn't play the guitar, and so many of you for instance, you wouldn't notice many of these weird techniques and weird decisions which make it sound very nice. Honestly, even guitarists wouldn't notice it because you're just, you know, appreciating the music rather than, you know, technically studying it. But there is a nice factor to actually having a percussive element in your arrangement, even though you don't have natural resources for that. And the benefit of that is because immediately you are sort of showing, oh wow, this is way different. This is something really unexpected, very different. So in this case here, like, it's been a while since I played anything percussively. I just played a nice kick there and then, but you know, here, you know, this is just a nice transition, you know, like you show that something's happening, right? Something is building up, just this small transition. Notice the nice change from my pinky finger to my ring finger when I wanna play this note here, right? So if I kept playing this, I don't really have a way of playing this. You wouldn't do that, so like you wouldn't even like just try to notice when I change my fingers. Right? It's so unnoticeable, like you don't hear any change. Which is something that I took from classical guitar. Like, there's a lot of places where the same thing, just with tremolo, which is obviously quite difficult. But I showed on live stream a nice exercise, which is just playing all three fingers like joined, like glued together. just glued together, and this way you're going to get better at tremolo, which is weird. I don't know how it works, but it worked for me when I was learning it like a couple of years ago. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to talk about here. I'll play it slowly for you, of course, but I just like the percussion line, so I played it. It fills the gaps between my tapping, which is a bit cooler to listen to rather than just playing like, sorry. Nobody wants to hear this. Right, you always want to make some nice swingy, in between rhythm, so sorry. I just messed my brain up because I was playing this wrong thing so much. Give me a second. Slowly. A nice sort of syncopated feel. Yeah, no more analysis here, doesn't make sense. It's just a cool rhythm. And actually, I have to say, a big thanks to a producer I was working with, because I worked on this track and on Snow Monkey in Great Britain, in Bath, in a really cool studio owned actually by one of the members of Genesis, Peter Gabriel. Beautiful studio. And the producer there, the engineer who I was working with, actually told me that, because I was playing like this. Sorry. So just lightly tapping, but now I do this. My nails, which is a lot cooler. I think it's a lot more pronounced, and I don't know why I didn't do it initially, but he told me, try to make it more sharp, and I did it, so it was great. And also this whole idea, because initially I think I just went straight. This section was different. I think oh yeah, I know. And then I played this once. And ending, so just once, but then he told me, try to do it 3 times or 4 times or how many fits, repeat it, because it's such a cool moment, such a nice section to have. We added 808s there, we added some clapping, and I repeated it a lot, 3 times I think it happens. I'm not sure off the top of my head, and it became a cool little moment, which I didn't do before, so he helped me out. Yeah. Yeah, so actually no, I will talk about this next part because it's pretty similar to the previous one, and then we'll call it a day, and I'll do another video later because 30 minutes is enough of analysis. So then we go into the second half of the arpeggio section, which is, I'll play it slow, maybe I'll play it normally and then slowly. Slowly. Jesus, sorry again. probably one of the more complicated arpeggios ever in my tracks. Yeah, the first arpeggio is identical to the previous one, the previous first arpeggio, but it shouldn't be actually, because in the original composition, it goes actually higher, so it somehow reaches again these sort of high notes. And I tried to do this again, try to make some, you know, cool little ideas, but I figured that why? That's what I figured. Why even try to change it when literally we are repeating the same concept again? I made a longer gap between them because I played this thing a lot. So why try to change it? So I just play the same exact arpeggio, and I would dare say it sounds kind of better than if I were to play it the actual original way, because you have consistency, right? Repetition reinforces. So I do that, same thing. Then honestly, this is kind of weird to me, like even looking at it. I haven't looked at it like closely in a while. Yeah, and here, obviously it's just technical, so nothing much to say, but here I go to this note, and obviously I should go back, and then again, what will it be? And then I just keep on going, like it's a diminished chord, by the way, but I don't have the frets, and in this case I can't really cheat because the diminished stuff doesn't have any nice harmonics, doesn't have any open sound to it. It needs to be the correct notes. I didn't find any cool way, so the only thing that I figured out I could do is lower the octave. So I actually kind of wish that I could do it some other way. There is no other way. If you find one, then bravo, make your own Patreon. But I didn't find any way to do it, so it's a bit of a sacrifice here. I just need to go back. So I'm again lower, so I sort of reversed into the arpeggio back because I can't go any further, right? So back down. And then here, I sort of just gave up, I think, and because I didn't want to play this. Like, I figured this is sort of unplayable, and maybe I could have gotten it in a studio, but then I wouldn't be able to repeat it too much. It's so stressful to do these sort of jumps from, like, can you see that? Like, this makes no sense to jump from here to here to here. So I figured, like, you know, leave it. I didn't play any note here, I just slapped up the chord, right? And now I'm like, oh, it's percussive, it's cool, but really it's because the other options are just terrible, it sucks. So, and this also is a note, it's a rhythmic thing, right? So when you slap your guitar, you do fill in the gap that this note should cover. So because I slap it, you do, you know, sort of hear the note, you hear the thing happen, then you play the wrong note, nobody knows it's a wrong note, and then you play this, right? So it makes sense. It makes sense even though it shouldn't, but it does. Yeah, and then sorry. Similar idea here. And here I'm up here a lot, so I should go again like to here probably, something like that, but I can't do it, so I go back, and again I'm lower, so I need to once again regress and sort of go back to the lower parts of the arpeggio, just because I have no way, literally no way to go higher. you can imagine this whole part, this whole thing later, if octave higher, that's what it should be. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna play these sort of. I don't honestly. I don't really care about the vision that should happen. That is like that. Oh, it should be an octave higher because that's the arpeggio makes sense now. It's easier to like visualize. It goes. I don't care about any of that stuff. You know, like all of these things. They don't matter to me at all. I just want to make a nice sounding, interesting, fresh, new thing, right? So, because basically when you're at school, right? Or at college or whatever, they would tell you to, you know, try to do something higher, but everybody's wrong. Today is just a hot take day, I guess. Yeah. So go back down. And I know here also, like, it should be something else, but I don't remember what it is. Because it was so long ago that I arranged this. I think here, this note should be this one, right? Because you have a nice, sort of clean, right? Nice sort of diatonic, everything's diatonic, but it's a nice step progression, right? Not even a step progression, just a nice scale down. But what I do later is different than the original. I think the original does something way different, and I go to this part immediately, which happens later in the track, I think. And to transition from this to this, what is it? To this, I chose to do it here, so I chose to play, sorry. Because this sort of alludes, I don't know if this word exists, it sort of suggests that the next note is going to be this, which it can be. This doesn't, this is like, sort of just ends nowhere, into oblivion, whereas this makes sense. Yeah. So I think that's enough analysis for today. It's like a half of the track or maybe a bit more. A lot, I think, mentioned here. I really like this arrangement. Like, I don't want to be arrogant or anything, but this is, I think, one of my best arrangements that are public. The ones that aren't public are better, but, you know, we'll see how better they get in a couple of months. So, yeah, so I really like this. Some really new techniques that I used here in terms of arranging and playing as well. And it's been a huge break before I released it, like a year without a new thing. So yeah, I had some time to actually properly consider what I wanted to do, improve, and yeah, hope you enjoyed this. More coming soon, obviously, and thanks for supporting, guys. Much love.